Hey, what is up guys, Toasty Bros here, and we're here with a very special video. We are at Level 1 Hackerspace, and today we're going to be getting a tour, so how about you guys come along for the ride? OPC delivers a great gaming chair at a competitive price compared to the mainstream brands. With multiple color options to choose from, there is bound to be a perfect match for your setup. Jackson uses one daily with his setup, and so should you. Check the link down below to learn more and pick one up today.
I am the Blendster, and this is the Level 1 Hackerspace. We're going to take you on a tour of our 501c3 educational nonprofit, show you the free tools that we make available to the community. We are all a group of volunteers. We get together and make this space available to the community to keep the barrier of entry to making as low as possible. We want people to be able to come in and sign the waiver and use a table saw or a 3D printer or a laser cutter or some other piece of equipment that they might not have the space or money for, and get active in making. All right, so this is our entrance. We have, like any decent hackerspace, we're half in the basement at least. We have our sewing equipment over here. We started our sewing equipment many years ago when a local rocket club needed to make some parachutes for their rocket. And so they brought in a sewing machine, and they discovered that the sewing machine stitching wasn't strong enough for the G-forces that are applied when the parachute snaps open and the body of the rocket is hanging off of it. So we ended up upgrading to sergers. So we've got 5 sewing machines, 2 sergers, and 2 embroidery machines that are here that are free to use. This is one of our small CNC machines. It's recently been upgraded with a better cutting deck, and it's capable of doing some interesting work in wood and foam.
That's crazy.
So this could be used for lost process casting, for example. It's stored out here, but it needs to be run inside the wood shop. But before we get to the wood shop, we're going to get to the vinyl cutter. The vinyl cutter is one of 2 tools where we charge money, and that is only for the cost of materials. If you bring your own vinyl in, it's absolutely free. Otherwise, it's $1 per linear foot, even if you only use a couple inches of it. Scraps are down there in the bin. You can use the scraps for free as well. And we have a dedicated computer. And this is another tool where you can come in and ask for help, and someone will be happy to show you how to use it.
You need to make a Toasty Bros sign.
Exactly, Toasty Bros sign.
Yeah, and there are the tools to do it here. This is the bunker. In the bunker we have both the wood shop and the metal shop. This is a $20,000 CNC machine setup called Big Daniel, named after the guy who led the effort to do the grant money, the grant for that got this. We got a nice grant from the SBA, I believe, to basically upgrade the space and make it better for entrepreneurs to come in and use to do stuff. This is a fantastic machine. We'll do a full sheet of plywood. It is free to use, but does require training because it's such a large and expensive piece of equipment. But training is done like once or twice a month. Our president, Brian, has been doing those lately. This is a new cabinet saw. We had a cheaper version for a while, and as you might imagine, with a lot of people using it, it eventually died, and we decided that it was a useful enough tool that it was time to upgrade and get a decent saw. So we voted on this as a membership and got this nice $3,000 cabinet saw. It is definitely one of the reasons why you sign the waivers. We've got a bandsaw here. I'm one of the people you can ask if you ever need help with a bandsaw. I've been using these since I was yay high. My father's a master craftsman knife maker, so that's where I got involved in making. This is a proper wood bench. Yeah, but this was built by one of our members who's currently in Ireland working on, I think, his master's in experimental archaeology or something like that. It's got a full grid underneath there to keep it nice and even. This top is removable, so if it gets too scarred up or stained, we can just pull it off and put a new one down.
Yeah, that's amazing, all the ductwork you guys have going over to like a... I'm guessing those buckets are going to be where you empty it at some point, or is it going to be this over here?
There's the big one here.
Big 55 gallon.
The lighter dust gets here. This vortex separates the heavier stuff, which comes down here. Mm-hmm. Lighter stuff goes there into those buckets. And it's really cool to watch. We've got the floor pickup over there, so as you're sweeping up the floor stuff, you can see it swirl around and go down, the heavier stuff, and then the lighter stuff comes up here. We are a democracy, so people come here and do things. Everything is member driven. We do have a board of directors and president and all that, but mainly that's for state compliance. They're not really special members so much as they're just volunteers who are doing a lot of work here anyway. That's how it works. So yeah, we've got another reason why you sign the waiver here, radio alarm chop saw. Cool. Definitely a reason you sign the waiver. We've got the drill press in here, and we've got some hand tools. We ask that people, not leave the bench like this. Put tools away when you're done. These drill bits should have been put away. This is our metal shop. We've got a Bridgeport mill on loan from someone in the community. We've got Spinny McLathe Face, which is our metal lathe, so named by the person who put together the petition to buy that. We've got a bunch of equipment over there next to the air compressor. We've got a bench here with a bench grinder and an ice vise and some other stuff. We've got one of the heads from one of our hackathons, the Suicidal Robot Hackathon. That robot eventually succumbed to a head injury, as I recall. So this is our welding table. We've got both MIG and TIG available. These are tools that we ask that you know what you're doing before you mess with them. But this is a great place to come and learn how to stick pieces of metal together. So we have a bunch of tools in our toolbox here. We've got our Allen wrenches and the alien wrench thing. We've got the measuring things. We've got the clobbering tools. It's sorted, If you can't find something, you ask somebody and we'll point you to the right thing. Screwdrivers, wrenches, pliers, sockets, it's all here. We've got the science microwave, which is not to be confused with the food microwave. If you need to microwave something for science and don't want to do it in a microwave that'll be ruined for food, go ahead and use the science microwave. That's what it's for.
This part's
This
crazy.
is our large laser. It is an 80-watt CO2 laser. Laser. This is a wonderful tool. You can cut and etch wood and plastics with it. It does not handle metal. You can do metal etching with something called Cermark, but that's a whole separate thing. You'll want to start with wood and plastic. You do not want to use PVC, vinyl, or Lexan. Anything that contains chlorine. It will create a toxic chlorine gas, which will probably kill you, and worse.
Chemical warfare going on in here.
Yeah, well, worse than probably killing you is it will damage the expensive optics on our laser. It's corrosive, and you signed a waiver. And I like to put it that way as a joke, just to get people to think about it seriously. Yes, we have a small laser cutter as well. It is a little more the software is a little more user-friendly, but the hardware is a little less user-friendly. So it's kind of a trade-off between the two. This was also only 40 watts, so it's not going to cut as thick a material. One word of warning about the large laser: the software that comes with that, it was written by someone who hates you and everyone you've ever met. It is truly atrocious software. There's bad to use software, and then there's that. It's on its own another level. This is a graphics workstation that we have over here, set up on a large screen, so you can do some 3D modeling with Blender. We used to have a free license for Autodesk Everything, but that lapsed, and we haven't been able to get that renewed from them. But we are an educational nonprofit, so hopefully they'll give that to us again, because we used to have Autodesk Everything that you could sit here and learn on. Back here is set up for soldering. We have two sides: the through-hole side and the surface mount side. So this side tends to have the finer tips, and the other side would tend to keep the larger tips. We have our hot air station. We've got magnification. We use Hacko FX888D soldering irons. Hacko was very kind and gave us a very good deal on these, since we're a nonprofit, and we have taught just lots and lots and lots of people, and they've held up very well. Yeah, if you want to learn to solder, this is a great place to come do that. I have taught at dozens of events, hundreds of students. I've taught a 4.5-year-old girl, so I can teach you to solder. It's no problem. This is some of our 3D printers. This is another tool that costs money. It's 10 cents a gram, including failed prints, and that is just to cover the cost of materials. We try to keep the barrier entry as low as possible, but at the same time, while we are a non-profit, we're not a charity. I will warn people that these are disappointment machines, because they manufacture that more than they manufacture 3D printed things sometimes.
You guys have plenty of filament.
We do indeed.
I don't remember that much the last time.
Yeah, we ordered a bunch more. This is our jewelry working station. This is one of the newer workstations that have been put together. If you need to resize a ring or want to make your own earrings or do other small precision work, this is what it's for. So, as an educational nonprofit, we have a classroom for teaching classes. And we've had classes in here on everything from urban chicken husbandry to rocketry to microprocessor programming to web development to Drupal to WordPress to birdhouse making to retirement planning. I mean, really, if you want to teach a class, this spot is for you to come teach a class.
Cool.
So, true story. We had some difficulty getting our 501c3 status because the IRS said we were, quote, having too much fun, which is a problem for them because that makes you a club. And so we had to send them a year's worth of classes to show that we actually have quite a strong emphasis on teaching people, and that's what we're here for. Computers in here that are designed for checking your email or playing a web game or something like that. So if we see you on one of the workstations doing that sort of stuff, we're going to ask you to come in here and do it in here instead. That's what these are for. See the bad idea robot there with only one eye. Unfortunately, it's off, or I would play a couple things for you. I can plug it in, I guess. But the bad idea robot won that hackathon, the useless things hackathon. Mm-hmm. If you press the button on the top of the bad idea robot, he gives you a bad idea. So he'll say something like, "Fire tastes like chocolate," or "Safety systems are for the weak." Mad Lib style stuff. So he'll say, "Connect high voltage capacitors to the pins of your Arduino," or "Shave with isopropanol alcohol and a lighter." You know, it'll throw those things together.
Yeah. So we could do some really cool stuff here. You know, it would be really cool if we made you guys a themed PC, like towards the space. You know, that would be. Because, you know, it kind of benefits everyone, you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, a lot of this stuff, we wouldn't have to put a whole lot of money into ourselves. You know, a lot of stuff we get for review, and companies want to see us use it. And really cool stuff like this, you know, where it helps other people out. Yeah.
So this is the tape cabinet. For non-YouTube, it has a different name. A note on that, we are more kid-tolerant than kid-friendly as a space. If you're okay with your kid being in a bar area where people might be using adult language and adult beverages, then this space is okay as long as you are constantly monitoring them and they're not young enough to eat stuff off the floor, which would be a very bad idea. But yeah, so we have a bunch of art supplies. We are extremely focused on a broad definition of what a maker is. You do not need to use an Arduino or Raspberry Pi or write code to be a maker. We want artists and people who want to create just silly stuff or inspirational stuff or non-technical stuff to come and use the space as well. And so we keep a bunch of markers and googly eyes and rubber bands and various supplies so people can do stuff. We've got ribbon, we've got tape, we've got all sorts of fun stuff. For us, a maker is anyone who makes things. We don't care if it's crochet or computers or electronics projects or websites or whatever. If you're making stuff, come make stuff with us. This is our main projector. This is where when we have our main meeting every Tuesday at 8, this is where the meeting minutes are held. For about half hour we talk about what we're doing in the community, and then we do kind of a show and tell with projects people have been working on. But yeah, so we also have bad movie night Friday night here, so come watch some terrible movie and work on your project and hang out with nerds.
Sounds terrible.
We've got a whole bunch of just various stuff here. Our current president is a big Star Trek fan, so he made himself a staff for the Grand Negus from the Ferengi, and he considers himself the Grand Negus of our space. We have Janeway at our old space. She was in one of the restrooms and she stared at you judgmentally if you didn't wash your hands, but here she's on the wall. We've got a couple of the blue ribbons we've earned at various maker fairs, and the possum clock, which is currently being used by one of our teams, our Power Wheels Racing team. So if you're not familiar, Power Wheels Racing is where you take one of the small Power Wheels cars, take the little motors out, put big motors in, take the little batteries out, put big batteries in, put an adult on the top, and drive like crazy around a racetrack with a bunch of other adults. First rocket built at our space. Yeah, this has been up several times. They took 6th place and best freshman team their first year, and first place, there's the second year, and they went from having no support at all at their university to look at our rocket club. And they had to do that by coming to our space to build the rocket. People can build stuff that they would not be able to build otherwise. So over here we have a whole bunch of bolts and nuts at various sizes. One of our OCD members has been sorting and cleaning them, and if you're that sort of person, please come hang out with us. We need you. This is Butterscotch. Butterscotch is the robotic fire-breathing pony of doom. She came out of, I think, a 3 a.m. conversation with some our members at the old space. She is controlled by this remote control.
Wii joystick?
Yep. And this Arduino Mega. Her original programming had her turn towards sound, and you do not want her to turn towards the clapping when she's breathing fire. Make it a little bit safer. A little bit safer. One of our motto here is probably safe, because a lot of what we do is probably safe, and Butterscotch definitely qualifies. We also have Oculus. Oculus is a great way to document your projects while you're here. You just take a picture of it, and it shows up on our Flickr feed and our Facebook. But because it occasionally bears reminding, this is a camera that puts pictures on the internet immediately. Please do not make me go erase things. Let's wait, there's even more. One of the things about our space is that it's free and open to the public anytime a member like myself is present, and we encourage you to come and use the tools and play and build stuff. But as a non-member, you got to take your project home when you're done. One of the perks of being a member, if you join as a member, is that you can use a shelf here that you claim, and you can store your stuff on here. So member storage shelves are here. This is the internet for our space. Our internet is very thoughtfully provided by bluegrass.net. I'd like to thank them for the free internet and supporting their local nonprofits. We have a nice helpful sign here: do not unplug the internet. It is one of the few ways to make instant enemies here. Actually, several of our members have been working on. It was featured at Churchill Downs recently. I can get you some video of it in action if you want. But it is a bunch of LEDs inside of these foam strips, and it lights up, and it's volumetric, and the animations go all the way around, and it's pretty neat. Back here we have large project storage. We have got a bunch of big projects people are working on. One of our makerships recipients started this go-kart, and this is, I think, version 5 of it now. We have a program here called Makerships, which is kind of like a scholarship to the space. So if you've come here and you hang out and you like the idea and you want to be a member and work on a project and join our cast of volunteers, I'd like to encourage you to go to level1.org/makership and fill in an application. Got to come to a couple of meetings, make sure we know that you're not going to harass people, and you're going to clean up after yourself, and you understand that this is a volunteer organization and all that fun stuff. But you get, if you get selected, you get a $100 stipend that you can turn in receipts to get reimbursed against, and 3 months membership paid for up front. This is all funded through community donations, not funded through normal dues. So if you think this is a cool thing we do, speak to our treasurer and donate, because we are low on money. Familiar with the board game Battleship? Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, that is trademarked, but everything else about the game is not covered by intellectual property laws. That being said, white pegs and red pegs are boring, so we have a 15-foot pool. We have a computer-controlled splash machine. We have some pyrotechnic-enabled boats, and that is how we do. At one of the hackathons, my friend Charles and I decided to build a countdown timer so that people would know how long there is in the hackathon to continue. So this is a bunch of LED strips that have been cut up and arranged into digits, and they change from green to yellow to orange to red as it gets closer and closer to the time. It's run off this simple Arduino here, and as you can see, it's connected to an air horn so that everybody knows when it reaches 0. And someone's working on this small scooter. He's been modifying it, he's been upgrading it with a much more powerful motor. It's gone from fun to legitimately dangerous. And back in this very messy corner back here, we have one of the very cool features of our space, which is our boneyard. This is a collection of random stuff. This is a cable modem. We got some capacitors. They do not discharge fast enough for a railgun, but you can be the 3rd or 4th person to try that. The idea is that you can take it and paint it and make it into some art, or cut it up and put it into your project, or take some parts out of it and make something new out of it. This work area back here is for people to take things apart that they found in the boneyard. and take out the useful amplifiers and connectors and servos and whatever else, and then the rest of it can be recycled in our e-cycling. And again, this stuff is free. We just ask that you use it in a project. If you are willing to talk to us at our meeting at Tuesday at 8 and say, hey, I grabbed some speaker wire and I put it in my car and now I have better bass, that's totally cool. But if you wind it up and stick it in your pocket and kind of sneak out the door, it's less cool, We do have a bunch of wood over here. Got a whole bunch of scraps that you can build stuff out of. So this is stuff that you can build cutting boards and such out. We also have some larger pieces of wood, including some nice hardwood that someone has donated. That's the main gist of the tour. If you have any questions.
No, I mean, do you guys think we can ask? I mean, you've covered everything really good, so.
I've done this once or twice.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed this tour. As you can see, there is so many different things to do here that it is like mind-blowing. And we think we have some ideas for some future projects to do here and some stuff that they can help us out, we can help them out.
So yeah, be sure to comment down below if you're interested in seeing some projects done here. If you have any suggestions of ideas of things you've seen around this place, because there is a lot. And if you have any ideas of custom builds, custom keyboard mods, custom cases, whatever you all have, comment them down below in the comment section, and we will be sure to check them out and add them to the list of things to do. All right, thanks guys for watching. Hope to see you on the next video.